Yadi, thank you so much for putting us all in the same room on a Saturday morning. Those of you on Zoom, thanks for joining us as well. And I really want to thank you all. It is a real honor and a pleasure for me to be with you this morning. If you keep your eyes and ears open, you will definitely learn things that have the potential to change your life, okay? All right, so the burning question becomes, why would a doctor decide that he needed to get involved or wanted to get involved with a nutraceutical company? Well, by the end of today, you will definitely have an understanding of why I got involved with this nutraceutical company after turning down multiple nutraceutical companies in my 26-year career. So I like to look at life like a chair. Yadi mentioned a house. I like a chair. And the chair has 4 legs to it. And if you don't have balance in your life, what happens? The chair falls down, right? So I like to use these legs of the chair. Certainly they've been used in different ways, but number one, spirituality. We are in the house of the Lord. And I will tell you that to be spiritual is a must in order for you to establish a balanced life and achieve any type of success in your life. We could talk about that for several hours. Number 2, lifestyle. Encompasses many, many different things. But for this purpose, let's just say water, exercise, and sleep. And I use those because in my weight loss clinic and to get people healthy in general, you absolutely need water. Now, everybody talks about 64 ounces, a gallon of water a day. You really need half your body weight in water in ounces per day, plus add 20% if you're doing exercise, plus add 20% if you're exercising outside, okay? Another topic which we could talk hours about. Leg 3, everybody knows about macronutrients. Everybody knows that you're supposed to eat well. Everybody knows, well, I should focus on total calories. But what people don't focus on are your percentage of carbs, fats, and protein. And when I do my wellness, I do an in-body analysis, which allows me to know exactly what their basal metabolic rate is and what their calorie count should be to achieve the weight that they want to be, okay? And then the forgotten leg, leg 4, micronutrients, a huge reason why I love ID Life. Micronutrients, as I said, is the forgotten leg. Why? We never talk about the importance of micronutrients, but during COVID, one thing that people agreed on was the importance of certain micronutrients. No matter what side of the aisle you were on, you talked about the importance of zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D. And ID Life recognized that because they increased the amount of vitamin C and they increased the amount of zinc in their vitamin pack to be compliant with COVID standards. 2, would be wellness, weight loss. You have to have the appropriate micronutrients in order to even think about achieving weight loss. If you don't, you're going to struggle over and over and over again. And the third one is people who want to build muscle mass already know this because they are clearly taking in the appropriate amount of micronutrients, okay? So in theory, if our food supply was awesome, this conversation would be moot. We would never have to talk about micronutrients. In the 1880s, they didn't talk about micronutrients because they just ate very organically. We can't do that. And the reason why we can't do that is because our food is so processed, we're surrounded by pesticides and insecticides, and our food is full of antibiotics. So, what do we need to do? We need to fill in the gaps. Absolutely must fill in the gaps. And how do we do that? Vitamin supplementation. So what's the real reason I decided that I needed to do this? I needed to do it because patients were absolutely demanding that I do it. They were saying to me, what multivitamin do I need? Where can I get my multivitamins? And how much multivitamin should I take? Posed a big problem for me. I actually did have hair at one time. So in my heart, I actually knew really there was no good place I could send them, because if you send them to any one of those places, you know that any one of those product lines is at least, well, going to be void of what you want. Nobody tests it. Nobody knows what's really in the product. And at least 10% estimates, or 25% of all products actually fail testing that you were buying in any one of the commercial stores. So I really had no easy way also to determine what they should be taking. I spent hours trying to figure out what their demands were. And then, 4 years ago, my practice changed forever. ID Life came along. So why ID Life? Well, it became very obvious because I'm a science guy. I need to practice clinically evidence-based medicine. Buzzwords, right? Everybody's heard that, especially if you go to conferences, they're going to tell you, we don't present data unless it's clinically evidence-based. Yet when every vitamin company talks to you, they have no data to support what they're telling you. Not true with ID Life. So I wanted to look for something that was all natural, no GMO, no soy, right? I wanted no artificial colors, gluten-free, and then, bam, ID Life met all of my requirements, and they even went a step further. I know of no vitamin company that actually takes the capsule and does not make it out of any kind of plastic or any kind of gelatin except for ID Life. It's based on all animal-type products, and particularly bovine. So what's so scientific about ID Life? Well, they use a HIPAA-compliant health assessment that I do at my wellness exam when I examine patients, which takes me 90 minutes to do. That exam doesn't go anywhere. That's why it's HIPAA-compliant. They can't use it. They can't sell your data. They can't do anything with it. It just stays on the database. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes to complete that assessment. And the beautiful part about that assessment is there's 6,400 algorithms in there, 2 million combination possibilities. The chance of anybody having the same vitamin pack is very moot, very, very small chance, right? So how do they make their recommendations? It comes from over 10,000 scientifically based third-party studies. There is not a company in the world that goes to that extent, and they update that database every month, and it's not done by some 18-year-old kid that does it. It's done by scientists who actually do it and produce it. Pretty phenomenal, really. And so something else that I really thought was cool, because I didn't know, even as a doctor I didn't know, chronobiology is super important. You will absorb certain vitamins at certain times of the day, right? So why is that important? You get vitamin packs in your morning, and you get your vitamin packs in the evening with your name on it. That tells you they have created that vitamin pack specifically for you. Pretty phenomenal. What else is important? Quality control. Every single ID Life product is done by a third-party analysis by an independent lab for quality and potency. Nobody does that. Also, this is what the lab is looking for. Disintegration rates, potency, purity, and solubility. Why? Because if you don't have those things, you can't absorb the vitamins, so it's pointless to take it. You have to absorb it, and you have to absorb it appropriately because of the data. Right? The potency tells me you're getting the active ingredient you're supposed to get. Okay? The purity says, well, we've made sure there's nothing unnatural in this product. And the solubility says it's going to break down exactly the way it's supposed to break down. Last thing that I want to talk to you about this morning, because they originally gave me 10 minutes. Then they changed it. Informed choice for sport is perhaps the biggest reason why I'm standing before you today. Okay? I take care of professional athletes, college athletes, high school kids that are relying on scholarships. I cannot take a risk on my reputation that one of my athletes will test positive for a banned substance. Informed choice for sport promises me that they check at the highest level by a third party, not done by ID Life, but by a third party to make sure that my athletes will never test positive for any banned substances at that level. Even it's above the IOC. They test for over 200 banned substances. On the actual website, you can probably see it from there, there's an actual fact sheet which goes into more detail about what informed choice is and how they do it. And I think it's important for you all, even though you may not come across professional athletes, you will eventually come across an athlete in high school that will go to college. And this potentially impacts them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. There was a kid at the University of Florida, tragically, who lost his scholarship because he went to a local vitamin store and got vitamins, and he wound up testing positive. His career is over. And that's tragic. It should never happen. So, next slide. So, all of us in this room have the potential to change people's lives in conjunction with ID Life, and we're going to prove that together we actually do life better. Thank you so much for your kind attention. I'll be on the board panel to listen to all your questions. I did it in time.